All right. So, with respect to alignment and talking to Jordan, the video is going to be released shortly. I had there's a delay because Jordan needs to get it cleared with his boss. He works for a corporation that he wants to make sure that everything's on the up and up with them. There's nothing that I think that he would be jeopardizing anything over. But you know what? It's a really great interview, well worth the extra steps. And I can't wait to roll it out and hear everybody's response to it. Definitely something very, very helpful and very shareable. Super helpful for, especially for young guys that are trying to get their lives figured out. Okay, so with respect to congruency, alignment, integrity, however you want to word this, where I believe that I should be doing this and I'm not doing this, and I need to start doing these sorts of things. I want to go over some of the things that make it so that you're more likely to make a change. And I'm going to go over some of the things that make it more likely that you're not going to make a change. The things that people do that they don't make a change. Okay, so the things that people do that lead to them making changes is they will ask questions like, what would the best version of myself do in this situation? What would the best version of myself have done? And this could be at home, at work, out and about in town, however, wherever you go, asking yourself while you're there is great. Asking yourself before you get there is really great. It's a whole lot easier to pre-decide how you're going to live, especially if, one of the things that I have in the morning is I've got a series of questions that I ask. And one of those questions is, what's something that could be a stumbling block for me today, or a difficulty that's going to cause me stress? How would the best version of me respond in that situation? That could be anything from a certain person who is going to be difficult that day, a certain conversation I don't want to have, a piece of technology that has been kind of janky recently, and pre-deciding how I'm going to do things is extremely helpful in that. Living out being the best version of myself. Okay, so all right. Hey, I'm Adam Funderburg, and I am the owner of High Caliber Coaching. I coach people, and I help them to level up their lives. There's a lot of people that get stuck, and really what they need is a little bit of perspective, and they need really the right questions. What I did was I actually went through a course, and I got trained by Brendan Burchard and in his organization on how to coach people and work them through the different areas of life where people get stuck and hung up. And so really my job is to help people level up their energy, level up their alignment and congruency with their ideal version. I help them so that they can have clarity of the vision and the life that they want to live. I help them to examine their lives and put things in order. It came off of the heels of me getting coaching myself, and my wife saw the dramatic change in me. And with respect to the coaching program, I had coaching previously, and this guy would call me up and he would say, hey, what's new? What's going on? How can I help? And it was very helpful, but only as long as I knew what exactly I was dealing with. I definitely came to a point where I couldn't understand why it was that I wasn't continuing with my upward trajectory. It was very obvious at one point, and then it became not so obvious. With this, the coaching that I got from Brendan Burchard's program was skills-based. So we talk about clarity, we talk about psychology, we talk about physiology, we talk about energy, productivity, we talk about all of these different things that make it so that week in and week out, you're able to get skills and you're able to develop. It's one-on-one coaching, And if you can imagine you want to learn how to swim, you could queue up some videos, you could read a book, you can jump in the water, splash around, try to figure it out on your own. But your speed would be so much faster if you paid somebody to coach you. And that's where I come in. With this, though, it's also not like swimming. If you learn how to swim or you don't learn how to swim, it doesn't really affect too much of the world around you. But if you learn how to get your life straight, if you learn how to get a whole bunch of your life better, it affects the way that you parent. It affects the way that you engage with your spouse. It affects the way that you show up at work. It affects the way that you show up in multiple areas. So if you want to take a quiz that will help you to kind of get a handle on where you're at, there's a link down below in the description, and it goes over 6 areas of your life where you can take a look and say, hey, what exactly do my habits look like? And it'll give you some clues and pointers. All by itself, it'll probably give you a couple of wins where just in asking good questions, you'll already get a handle on the fact that some of them are already residing in you. The answers are already in you. If you wind up going through there and saying, I'd like to look a little deeper, there's going to be a link at the end for a 90-minute free strategy call with me. You can just schedule it. We'll talk and go from there and see if coaching is going to be a good fit for you. All right, back to the video. One of the things that is also super helpful if you're trying to figure out how to make adjustments in your life, you're going to need friends. And if you give it a little bit of thought and you pray, you're probably going to discover that there are some people that you could be associating with that would make it so that those characteristics that they exhibit will rub off on you. The wise, if we hang out with the wise, we become wise. If we hang out with fools, we behave more like them. And so one of the things for me that I did super early on when I got saved, I didn't have any friends at all. I walked away from my entire friends group and I walked toward just the church. I didn't even know anybody in church. My situation's a little bit goofy in the way that I got saved. I didn't know anybody. It was really just I read the Gospel of John, and I had a couple conversations with a guy at work, but really I just came to believe that I needed to walk away and I needed to walk toward God. And so when I got saved, I wound up joining the softball team, even though I absolutely hate softball. I joined the team, met some people, got some friends, and promptly quit the softball team because I really wasn't interested in softball. I just wanted to meet some people. That worked out really well. And I went on to a second church about 8 months later, something like that. My girlfriend and I went to go visit her old Sunday school teacher who had started a church, and we just needed to stay there. That was the place where we needed to be. And so neither one of us knew anybody there. So what did I do? I joined the softball team and met some people, and then I quit the softball team because I really just wanted to get to know people. I wanted to meet some people and start developing some friendships. There's a handful of things that people do that help them to get more consistent behavior, congruency, integrity, alignment, and that sort of thing. They are clear on a definition of terms. They know this is how I should be behaving. The people that all they do is they wind up having these spasms and they wind up having these behaviors that are not intentional. They're just emotional gushes and they're not managing themselves. They didn't pre-decide because they don't even know what the behavior is that they should be doing. So it would be sort of like if you had a a job that you were posting that you wanted somebody to do, and then somebody read the title, made some assumptions about it, and called you up and said, "Hey, can you tell me a little bit more about the job?" And all you knew was the title. You didn't have any definition of what it was that they actually did. Nobody's clear on what the behaviors, performances, anything is supposed to be. And then you would dare to get frustrated that you have a hard time finding somebody to fulfill that job. What you need to do is you need to go through and say, hey, you know what? When I, a Christian, go out into public, I behave in this way. I behave this way toward my wife because that's what the Bible says to do. I behave this way toward this group of people. I behave this way at work because that's what the Bible says to do. And my point is that unless you know and have clearly defined what it is that you're going to do, how could you possibly do it? Now, a way to make this even better is to say, hey, you know what? The example that I use when I'm coaching people is, if you can imagine being in traffic and you're stuck in bumper to bumper traffic, and you look to your left and you see somebody beating their steering wheel and yelling at the car in front of them. And then you look to your right and you see somebody else and they're just sitting there all chill and they're relaxing. And, you almost think that maybe they're taking some kind of advantage of this time. Now, these two people are both stuck in exactly the same situation. They're behaving completely differently. And if you ask yourself, what could this guy possibly be thinking versus what's this guy thinking about? Then you start to have some clues as to how they get those results. It's because of the way that they're thinking. Okay. When the other thing that people do, like I was saying, they don't have definitions. And so that's part of their problem. The thing is that sometimes people let themselves off the hook by what they repeatedly say. They're not even thinking about what they say. They've been saying it so long that there's no alarm, there's no anything. So one of the things that you should always be aware of, and I hope that it rings in your head like a klaxon alarm, like an alert that you've said something of significance. I shouldn't have to. That should be a gigantic, bellowing, ringing sound. Whenever you say I shouldn't have to, you are assuming that you have a right. I shouldn't, because what you're doing is you're actually only saying the first half of the sentence. The second half of the sentence starts with the word because. I shouldn't have to because, and then you spell out your right. I shouldn't have to tell her how I feel because she should just know how I feel. I shouldn't have to explain this because, well, they should just know. I shouldn't have to work so hard because I want my life to be easier, or my life should be easier. You've got some kind of right that's on the other side of I shouldn't have to. So whenever you say that, you should definitely have a giant alarm and examine that. Is this true? Do I actually have a right? Or am I putting myself in a position where I'm going to get frustrated, which is going to lead to misbehavior? So the next one is, if you ever wind up hearing yourself saying, they'll get over it. This is probably something that you're saying in, this is the kind of things that are said by people that generally are looking for an excuse to not treat somebody well. If you say they'll get over it, you need to ask yourself, should they get over it? Am I actually behaving in a way that's reasonable? Or am I just making an excuse for bad behavior and not living up to my ideal self? Is that you need to understand that I think that this is super important, that there's a day coming when everything that we say and do is going to come into scrutiny. Our whole lives are going to be replayed for everyone to see. Is this the way that you want to be seen by everybody? If you would behave differently in front of a group of people, Like, I've been around plenty of people that they're one way here and they're a completely different way here, and it's so disappointing. And the thing is that they're going to have to answer for all of that. I personally take a lot of comfort in the idea that of this. I think that this should drive us. The fear of God is the beginning of all wisdom. You should have a little bit of fear in your heart. And I would love it if I could say that the love of God gets me there. But you know what? The fact is that sometimes it's the fear of God that gets me there, and that helps me to more address what I'm doing and what I'm about. All right, that's what I got for you this morning. I'm excited about tomorrow. I'm a day behind because I didn't like the way that the video came out yesterday. My response to Jordan, whose video hasn't been put out. But I started to realize that I could be doing it differently. And so anyway, regardless, I'm a day late, but this is a much better video than the one that I was going to put out. And so that said, I will catch you later. I'll see you in the next video, or you'll see me. You'll just see me.